So welcome back, everybody. In one of the last episodes, we built my dream rocket stove. I wanted a large 6-inch rocket stove for multiple ways of cooking. We built a specialty grate on here that I can do everything from crab pots, and I put extensions on there. We can do pots, pans, cast iron, kamals, all kinds of stuff. And I mentioned in one of the next episodes, we're gonna build a grill attachment for this. But we're gonna build a grill attachment for this today to make this even more useful. I wanna be able to make it grill, smoke, and sear. Let's see if we can figure it out. Some people have asked me how heavy this is. Oh, it's heavy. Probably 80 pounds if I had to guess. The good news is, some point in the future, I've already got pipe. I'm already planning on building smaller rocket stoves, and I really want a portable rocket stove for whenever we travel off fishing and 4x4, riding around, stuff like that. We're gonna take one with us that we can actually cook on the go. I had saved this old air compressor that's no good. It bit the dust on me, and I was going to use this tank for this project, but the more I got looking at it, that is not thick enough for potentially putting some thicker meats on and smoking, so we're going to build something from scratch. So since I have some sheet metal left over, I've decided I'm going to build a round grill top. It'll make sense in a little bit. And I actually kind of like the way the size of this looks right here for a grill. It's going to be pretty big, but a 6-inch rocket stove's quite large. So, keep me having to go do some math and figure out what I want to do. I just found a round object in the shop that I like the size of. We're going to measure it. You'd be surprised at how long of a piece of metal you'll need for something like this. So 45 inches all the way around. My sheet steel over here is 48 inches. So I think we're going to make an even bigger grill and just go with a 48-inch piece. This will make sense in a second. The grill is going to go on top of this 6-inch extension that I have, so it's up at a good grilling height. How wide do we want our grill to be? So when we cook right over the rocket stove itself, that's where we're going to be searing, getting the most heat. But I kind of want some offsets to either side of the flame, whatever you're smoking, or don't want direct heat. Even though this is looking ridiculously big, why don't we go ahead and do this wide enough for a rack of ribs. Markers don't work the world's best on marking on especially oil-coated steel. So these are called glass etchers right here. Glass cutters, all that stuff. That's what you score the glass with and break it. Very sharp, probably a little carbide tip, but it's good for etching into metal when a marker won't work. Check this out. That'd be hard for the camera to pick up, but you can see I just cut a circle all the way around. Maybe the light will get it here in a second. There you go. Now you can see the circle I cut and mark this out. We're going to cut this out with a grinding wheel. You can see I keep checking my measurements. I'm trying to make for sure I don't get this out of round, because it's easy to do until I get some sides on it. Alright, this is going to take a while. I'm having to do little taps on top of each other to not burn through this sheet metal. Because I'm using such thin steel, and by the way, I'm using thin sheet steel because I had it on hand. Thick plate steel like this is very expensive for a project like this, and my equipment for bending and rolling and shearing is only designed for thin sheet steel. So that explains it. Yes, it'd be better to build this out of really thick material, but there's lots of reasons why it doesn't make sense for this type of a project. But because I'm using thin steel, you can see it's got a bow in it now because of the way I bent it. It's under tension, we cut it. So I am welding in this thick angle iron as a stiffener to give me a nice straight edge all the way around. And I flip the angle iron upside down here because my grate is gonna sit right inside. All right, so whenever I open the lid up, it wants to go all the way back and over. That'll make a dangerous situation with my rocket stove. I don't want this lid to potentially pull it over. We want to kind of keep the weight over the legs. So I just cut off some little 1/2-inch rod right here, and you see I left this piece right here sticking long, so I can weld that on. When I open it up, it'll actually catch against this. And the whole reason I bent and put this piece all the way around is because no matter how hard I try, I can't have a perfectly sealed grill. So this right here covers up any gaps and tries to contain the smoke and heat in the grill. Now, because this is just a thin wall little grill, nothing precision made here, this gap actually fits pretty good back here. But with that said, there's going to be a little bit of smoke and all that comes out here. I could actually build a hinged flap that goes over this. It'll really just make it look better than anything else. But I think everybody understands. Doing the best I can. This is the first time I've ever built anything like this, and I'm actually quite pleased with this gap back here. So now I need to work on the attachment point. How do I get this grill attached to the rocket stove itself? So on my extension, for example, I welded on those tabs on the bottom that would just grip on the outside of the rocket stove. But I think I'm going to experiment with a different design for this grill that'll serve two purposes. I think I'm going to weld some pins on the inside of the grill that'll slide down into all of these corners, kind of locking it in. And I need those pins to stick up in through the bottom of the grill right there, because I'm going to put like a heat diffuser in there for when I'm smoking and don't want direct flames. And I think that'll also give me a spot to put a drip pan, which is very much needed. All right, the pins don't quite fit, so it's time for a little gentle persuasion. All right, this is our first opportunity to check out the stability. Everything feels good. There ain't no way it's gonna tip this way because there's so much weight on the front of the rocket stove. I ain't worried about the lid. So now you see these pins I welded in there with some washers on top. Now I can put a flat plate in here to do what's called indirect heating, to where the flames will come up, hit the bottom of a plate, and go out and around, and you can put your meat right over the center, because not everything you cook you want direct flame on it. Or I can take it right out. This will also allow me to put a drip pan in here. So check this out, I just had an idea. I keep old drip pans out here in my processing room to thaw stuff out on and all. Why on earth would I go through the trouble of building a pan when I have old beat up pans just like this? Absolutely perfect. This will catch fat and greases, like say if I have a Boston butt right here or something, and it acts as the deflector that I'm looking for. Beautiful. All right, so I got my grill painted with high temperature paint made just for grills. It's like a 2,000 degree paint. Now with that said, I could have left this raw steel and seasoned the outside and oiled it. I'm not sure which way I really wanted to go, to be honest. I'm trying the paint for the first time ever. So what I'm gonna do is light a fire in this, because I've allowed this paint to dry out here for probably about 1.5 hours, and you have to bake this paint on to make it reliable and last a long period of time. Excuse the chickens, by the way. So I figured that what would be best is to light a small fire in here, build up heat, and I'm gonna do this for probably 1 hour, warming everything up, curing the paint even further. And then toward the end of this, we're gonna run the temperature up a little more, because all these factory pieces of steel have factory oils on them, and we want to burn that off. We don't want it on our food. I've done washed this grate completely, but getting up to several hundred degrees inside will burn the remaining protective oils off of the steel. And again, we don't want that in our food at all. So we want to make sure we do that. At that point, while this is cooling down, because the inside is still raw steel, I'm going to spray a vegetable oil all over the inside. And while it's cooling down, it'll pull that oils into the porous surface of the steel. And what's best to do then, light another fire in here, bring it back up to temp, and I may coat it one more time with the oil. That's seasoning your grill, and something I've always done to my smokers, and it keeps the inside from rusting on you. So if you haven't seen the first episode where I built this, I built me an ash grate down here, and it's got a little container on the bottom to hold my fire starters in. So we're gonna light these, stick this back in. And if you look down in there, you'll see the fire starters are going. I've got some split oak right here. Being I'm not gonna cook on this particular cook, I may go out in the woods and just grab some sticks and everything else to put in here. All we're looking to do is to build a nice coal bed and keep a relatively low temperature fire for the first hour. Then I'll run it up at the end again to burn those factory oils off. All right, so let's take a look at this. It has been running for about 1 hour, 1.5 hours. I want to show you all the different features. I just choked it out, but if we open this all the way up, here is the sear function. Let's let it catch again. I've only got a few pieces of wood in there, but before long we'll have flames coming all the way up and touching the grate, so we could sear a steak or whatever type of meat that we want right here. And for the last 1.5 hours, I've been playing with temperature. Because it's got such a small burn chamber, you definitely got to sit right here and spend your time babysitting it, just like a traditional smoker anyways, and choke your vents back, and especially your air intake. Look at that. Now tell me I can't sear on that. The flames are coming above the grate. Awesome. So sear function, no problem. And I'm gonna be careful since I'm still curing the paint, but you can run this thing to way past 500. Like, it gets to grilling temperature so quick. Look at that. I mean, I can go probably as high as I want. I'm gonna start choking everything back because I'm still in the curing paint stage. So long story short, I've run it down to 275. I've run it up to almost 500 accidentally, and you can see that it can sear no problem, and I can get to grill temp in literally 60 seconds or less. So y'all seen that my little hook down there, it can hold my fire poking tool. Or what I mainly have the hook for is to put my temperature probe on there for meat. Built me a little cup holder right there. Believe it or not, there's not much heat right here at all. So if I need to quickly come over and just throw some wood in the fire or something, you can put your favorite beverage right up here. This right here unscrews. I may show this depending on what we cook later this week, but I can hang my temperature probe right there, my little thermo probe, and run my probe in through this into a piece of meat if there's something I'm doing a longer cook and want to monitor the temperature of the meat. All right, so I've got it choked back and we're easing back down toward 300. Now don't forget, in a future episode, we're gonna be putting lump charcoal in here, charcoal briquettes. Like, I'm gonna do a lot of cooking on this over the next year. We can't fit all that in a single episode. And I cut my own oak and cherry wood chunks like this for smoking. I've actually got my smoker with ribs on it over there going. And check these out. These work perfect for my master built, or imagine just we have a little coal bed down in here, little flame, and you can just, well, roll one of those down in there every so often. Go back to smoking. We don't need a whole lot of wood or temperature in there for smoking. So as we get a little coal bed, we don't have to shove pieces like this in there, or we can just stick one at a time to really control our heat. All right, y'all, I am genuinely excited. I think I may have accidentally created one of the best reverse sear steak cookers out there. This thing, I've done run it up to 600 plus, and it wants to keep going. It looks like it'll go to 800 or 1,000 degrees with just opening the damper in the matter of a few seconds. Or you can choke it completely off like I have it right now, and we're heading down to 275. You can see the nice little bit of smoke coming out. So here's my thoughts. I can either cook, say, 2 ribeyes on either side of the heat stack that's coming up through there, and run them at, say, 250, 275. This smells so good because I'm running oak chunks in here right now. And then, well, you can open up all the dampers, literally jet a flame past the grates and reverse sear those steaks. I think this is gonna work out so unbelievably good. I'm seriously considering cutting a slot in the side right here with a handle and making me a removable diffuser that'll pull out, put a pan on, put it back. All right, so now that I have this choked down to about 250 degrees, I'm leaving a little bit of coals in there so we can fire this back up, but it's nice and cool at the moment. I just use canola oil spray. I'm gonna coat down all the surfaces on the inside. All right, so I'm just literally gonna spray down the entire inside of this smoker, grill, whatever we're gonna call it. And a lot of this oil is gonna wind up running on the outside. It is what it is. All right, now that we're nice and coated and I have oil everywhere on the outside of my grill, I'm gonna run it back up to just a few hundred degrees for a little bit and then kill the fire, let this cool down, and I may do one more final coating of this on the inside, and you'd be surprised how long your grill will last without rusting when you do this. All right, y'all, it's pouring rain, windy, and nighttime. You can see the grill is getting covered in rain. So audio is gonna be horrible for this. But we're lighting our charcoal starter. We're gonna light this up with some oak wood, and what we're trying to do is get a small coal bed going to just do a little bit of light smoke on some ribeye steaks that we're gonna do. And I'm trying to do a reverse sear tonight. So we're just gonna run it low temperature as possible, choke the smoke out, choke the airflow out, and get a little smoke on the steak. Then we're gonna open this bottom damper up, roll the heat to it, get flames up and above the grate, and sear those steaks off with a little bit of butter. But I've got rain blowing in on me. It's killing me. It's very hard recording right now, but I wanted to show y'all a little bit of cooking. All right, so let me show you what I did here. I just stuck a baking sheet pan right here underneath. You can see I can easily lift the grill up. I'm just gonna put 3 ribeye steaks right here that we've had in the freezer for a while to test this out. And I put the kind of baking sheet as a indirect heat here. So when the flames come up underneath, it rolls all the way around the outside edge, which is awesome. Put the steaks here and just smoke them for a little bit. We are gonna use our ThermoPro thermometer if it doesn't get rained out here. Put a probe in one of the steaks, and when they get to about 100 degrees, I'm gonna lift this right up, just put my pair of gloves on, remove that pan, and then we can get the opening right down to the flames. The flames will come up above the grate, and we'll reverse sear those steaks. And when they hit about 120 degrees internal, we'll pull them off, let them rest. That is a beautiful medium rare seared steak with a little bit of smoke flavor. I think this is gonna work out awesome. Again, I apologize for the poor lighting. It's been storming all day. It's the best we can do, but I want to show y'all a little bit of cooking on this. And the good news is we have a lot more cooking content and more accessories for this rocket stove coming very soon on the channel. All right, we're gonna put a little bit of Steak King, or you can do Montreal steak seasoning. Love them both. A little bit of Moho Rub citrus blend. You can get this in the liquid or the dry blend. We actually really like the dry. and a little bit of wood-fired garlic blend by Kinder's. All right, y'all, couldn't ask for any worse weather. Been spitting rain. You can see my breath, freezing cold. I put this smoker and grill to the test tonight. I apologize for the poor lighting. It's just blowing in. We got a cold front coming through. This was the time that I can make this happen. Well, I guess it was a good test of the grill and smoker. So let's pull one of these ribeyes off. We did roasted garlic that we cooked earlier. Well, I think it was yesterday now I think about it. Butter, and as you've seen, the grill worked out amazing. All right, so the smell's amazing. We got the butter on there. We got the roasted garlic. Looks like I went a little around medium. We like medium rare, no big deal. Just now learning that smoker. The smell is absolutely amazing. Smoky, looks good. I know the lighting's horrible. Still plenty of pink in there. And these are cheap ribeyes that we caught on a killer sale. Let's test it. This isn't a cooking video, but I want to show y'all, because y'all asked in the last build video, show some cooking. We have a lot more cooking videos coming. I absolutely love it. I can taste the roasted garlic, the butter, and you get all that sear and burnt fat flavoring, as well as a medium in this case, but I like medium rare, cooked inside, no big deal. It's still absolutely amazing. I think that's gonna work wonderful. We can throw cherry wood in there. We can throw oak, anything else we want. We can choke it down. We can smoke. We can put the diffuser pan in there. No direct heat, do indirect heat. All right, you can't go wrong with a good reverse seared ribeye. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this build. A lot, and I mean a lot more coming. We got some bigger builds on the horizon. Catch you on the next video.